So this diary series is just going to be me working on this car. Not necessarily how-to videos. I have how-to videos, but this is just more of the process of restoring this car. And my plan is to fully restore this car back to original as close as possible. The only thing I don't have original really on it are the wheels. They are C4 wheels, but they're not the original wheels. One day I'll fix that offset problem. So this story, like all of my car stories, begins on Craigslist. And I wasn't even really in the market for a Corvette at all. I wasn't really in the market for any cars. I figured I can get a great deal on this car. So I go out and look at the car. Super dirty, super dirty car, which means to me, hey, I can probably get even a better deal on this thing. He does start it. It starts up right away. He has to use a jumper pack on it because the battery's completely dead. The digi-dash is flashing. He didn't leave it running long because he said the gas was old and it would plug up the fuel injectors, and I was like, sure, that makes sense. So as he's talking to me, he's really trying to upsell this car, right? He's telling me how this is an $8,000 car all day long, how he's replaced the long block on it, and it's a 4-bolt main, and I asked him how flexible he was with the price because I wasn't sure he would like my offer. I didn't want to lowball the guy and have him get pissed off because he seemed to think, and he said this a couple times, that it was an $8,000 car and he only posted it on a whim because he was drinking some beer. So I didn't want to offend the guy because he thinks this is an $8,000 car. I think I was watching some Wheeler Dealers or some car show, and that seemed like a good way to phrase, what is your bottom dollar? And he offered 35. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll take 35, because that's kind of what I was thinking anyways, because he was asking for. The other thing is, he had a condition. He said, sure, how about I give you to it for 35, but you have to dig it out. And I'm like, okay, that's not a big problem. So there was a lot of snow. In fact, this is the year that we call around here Snowmageddon, because it snowed so much that year, and it was a cold snap. We're talking like single-degree digit temperature right now, but I was excited. I thought I was getting a good deal. It was black, and I was going to have me a Corvette for $3,500 that ran and drive, and I just needed to change the gas. So I give the guy the money, get the title, agree to come back on a different day. Get a trailer, and it's the wrong type of trailer, but we did make it work. If you get a trailer, make sure you go to U-Haul and get a proper towing trailer. This trailer that I got was for like farm equipment and for backhoes and things like that. So this was a giant heavy-duty trailer, didn't have the right straps on it or any kind of winch to pull it up on top. So now comes the fun part of digging the car out. Long story short, we do dig the car out. The guy is a terrible pain in the ass to work with. He's grumpy, he's sick, he says, and he's just a grumpy, curmudgeoned old man. His name is Tom, by the way. And he almost was going to threaten to throw me off the property because I was starting to get kind of grumpy with him because he made us dig the car out, and then we dug the car out, and he's like, well, you weren't supposed to pile the snow here. Anyways, so we get the car out, get it on the trailer, finally get it home. It's 6 degrees outside. I'm freezing, but I have a Corvette. Yay! And I have to give a big shout out to my buddy Dave, because without him, there's no way I could have dug this thing out or got it on the trailer. Thanks, man. You're the best. Okay, now on to day 2. From 10 feet away, it really does look like a decent car. And here it is, parked in my little teeny tiny driveway at the time. 4 cars, and they all fit in the driveway. No problem.
Okay, here we are. I don't know if this is day 1 or day 2. It's the first full day. Yesterday was the first day home. Got the car home. Got it towed forward. I just got done pulling it forward with the tow straps and my come along. And that's where it's going to sit for a long time with the cover on it. This is all gummered up, of course, and cracked, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that. He says there's a guy he knows I can get it fixed. I might get that information from him. I shall see. But I got a nice cover for it. I'll cover it up. Got to drain the gas tank and flush it. And then after that, I should be able to run. But it needs a lot of work. So we'll see.
Here's some pictures of the inside of the car. This is the passenger footwell. As you can see, it's just a complete disaster. I should have probably asked $3 for the car, now knowing all this in hindsight. But I thought $35 was a good deal. Just need a little bit of cleaning. I'm great with wiring. This is not going to be an issue. So here I am, finally got the fuel draining out. I just gravity fed it out, got that drained, put on a new fuel filter. So with the minimal amount of work done, I'm now ready to start it for the first time. So the last time this thing was on, turned it on, the dash is all I'm freaking out and stuff. But that was because he had a charger hooked up to it. So let's see if I don't even know what's going to happen here. Oh, there it goes. The dash is working.
I hear a fan motor.
Oh, yeah. That's because that's how he's got it wired. It shouldn't do that. That's one of the things I have to fix. But look, the dash is actually working.
It's got illumination.
This is like the worst part of this thing is this damn electric dash, and they always fail.
It's like a kick.
Okay, here we go. Oh, of course.
Not enough cranking gears?
Nope. I may have to put my foot on the brake or something. Well, the battery is so dead, there's just no way I can charge it. It needs to be replaced. A couple days go by, get myself one of them $50 Walmart batteries, and we're at it again. Light coming on.
Yeah, no headlights.
Well, that's a different thing.
There it goes.
So here, it's got an exhaust leak. Because he put here I am, driving in my car. Let's see if I can go around this corner. It honestly does not feel fast. It does not feel fast. Yeah, it's not feel fast at all. So I gotta work on that. Blew the top off already, so good thing it was already broken. So that was a fun little adventure. Yes, you heard right. The target top blew off. Me and my buddy on the very first drive. This is the second drive that you just saw when I was by myself, but we were going around the corner just trying to drive down the street, and because the target top was not secured properly, I didn't know, it's the first time I've had a C4, the thing blew off. It blew straight up into the air. It was like a cartoon. It was hysterical. So the thing probably went 20 feet in the air, landed in the road behind me. Thank goodness no one was behind me. The reason why the car is driving like such a dog right now at this point is because I have codes. That is the next issue to tackle. So right after that, the very next thing I bought on eBay was a Corvette wrench to tighten down the top. And I even got an original one because it's adorable. It even says Corvette on it, and put it inside my dirty car. So unbeknownst to me, the wrench was not my problem at all. I had completely the wrong mounting hardware on it. There's like 3 different mounting hardware for these things, and I had the wrong ear. So I got a hold of a guy, I think Corvette Tops, talked to him, explained my problem, and he said, yeah, sure, send me your core and I'll send you back the correct bracket. So I packaged it up, didn't send it in this shape because, of course, UPS would not take this. I had to buy a box. It was like $100 in shipping. Anyways, then it's time to start pulling codes. And I have 2 codes. I have code 33 and code 42. So a code 33 is mass airflow sensor circuit. The way it works is it's basically just senses how much air is going through it, and the computer, the ECM, uses that information to decide how much fuel to put in the car. So in conjunction with the mass airflow sensor, the computer will use all kinds of information to put in the most gas that it possibly can at the right time. So if this thing is not telling the computer how much air it has no idea how much fuel it's supposed to put in. And with code 33, it basically goes into this thing called cripple mode and runs like garbage. And that's the issue that I'm having. All right, so a little bit of an overview of how I went through and got rid of this code. So like I said, there's 2 of them. Let's go in chronological order because that's basically what I did. So I started with code 33. Now, I have a Chilton book that I bought. I bought it, when I very first caught the car, but I also know I need the GM service manual. I've been using these manuals on all of my GM vehicles. So, of course, I had to buy one for this vehicle, and this is the original one. So what's invaluable about this, as compared to thing like a Chilton or a Haynes manual, is inside of here, it tells you everything that you need to do to fix the code. It's all right here in a big giant troubleshooting chart. So what did I do? I basically just started with the top and then went down the list. So it starts off with step 1, do these things. Check. Step 2, do these things. Check. Step 3, do these things. Check. Step 4, do these things. And it basically says that, hey, if you've checked all the wires and it's still not working, well, your mass airflow sensor's bad. And I'm like, oh, well, that can't be true. No, because I started looking at prices of them, and it was around $150 to get a remanufactured one. There are a couple things that you can do, apparently, that I tried, and they both told me that my mass airflow sensor was bad. So this has to be tested while it's plugged in. So I used paper clips into the wiring harness to tap into it as it was actually on. So the 2 ground wires, there's the black wire and the black wire / white wire, and there should be some voltage on there, and I didn't have voltage on that either. I finally ordered a new one, so I put in my new mass airflow sensor, and my code 33 was gone. But I got a code 34 immediately after that. I'm like, no. So this is one of the few times, honestly, for my code 34 issue where it didn't tell me what the issue was. Usually this book is bulletproof and there's nothing wrong with it. Well, this time, I guess there was. The code 34, that's one of those codes, like if you ask this question on Facebook, for example, on one of the C4 forums, they'll say, hey, just replace your relays. And no, that can't be it. Because that information was not in my troubleshooting tree for code 34. I was like, I don't know. But they were cheap. They were like $10 a piece, so I ordered some anyways. Replaced both of those relays. There's 2 of them in there. There is a burn-off relay and a power relay. For whatever reason, I replaced both of those, and then my code 34 went away. Yay! So for whatever reason, that time it worked. Code 42. This one is a little more complicated. In fact, it's so complicated, I don't even fully understand what's happening. Basically, inside of your distributor, you have the little teeny tiny pickup chip in there, and that's what senses how fast the distributor is spinning around. These are basically the newer version of points, so that way the system can fire the spark plugs. And it talks to the computer. And there's a wire that's running in between them. There's a couple of them. There's a bypass line and signal wires and blah, blah, blah. So I have to do a bunch of testing, and you'll see that here in a second. It's another thing that if it's not working right, your car goes into limp mode, and it doesn't perform efficiently. So it's in bypass mode for some reason and not working. You would think usually it'd be something like the ignition module, but it could also be more complicated. So the beauty of the troubleshooting tree is you, me, anybody, we don't have to understand fully what's going on. We just need to follow these steps to solve the problem and make it go away. And that's where I'm at. So code 42 took me a long time to get it figured out because there was a lot more steps. Actually, there's the same amount of steps, but they're a lot harder. You need to do things like check all the wiring in between your ignition module and the computer, the ECM, and make sure you have the proper resistance on those. Went through the troubleshooting tree. Step 2 got me a no, so I replaced the ignition module. That wasn't the problem, but hey, I was passing more of the tests, so there was a bad module in there. I think I had to order 2 of them to finally get one. That worked right. So about halfway through my Code 42 adventure, my new target top came in, or my refurbished target top came in. Got this from Corvette Tops, and it was about $500 to get it rebuilt. That's not including the shipping there. And there was some issues with it a couple years later, but I've since got those rectified as well. Also have none of the mounting bolts for it, so I had to buy those silly Torx head bolts somewhere off of eBay. They're rather cheap. They're just target top bolts. There's different ones in the front and the back. So the good news is my new target top is in. So I had one small victory, but now back to the code and moving on after step 2 after replacing my ignition module. And get to step 3, and then, I get a yes on that. And then that takes me to step 5, and that's where everything goes to poo. And I have myself a faulty engine control module. I basically had to order a whole new computer at that point. And back at this time, back in 2017, I was able to get a reconditioned GM one for $100. So after I did all that, replaced the computer, put the new computer in, and no codes finally on the car. So far, at this point, I bought a mass airflow sensor for around $150, a couple relays for $10 a piece, and a computer for $100. It doesn't come with the chip. You have to take the chip out and put a new chip in, the EEPROM. With the exception of the code 34, all these other complex ones were diagnosed perfectly by using the troubleshooting charts in the GM service manual. So I would go and use this as your first reference and then ask questions online as your second reference. If you want to ask people and get 500 opinions and spin your tail around, because this goes methodically, one thing at a time to rule out other things, it actually is quicker. I know it seems like it's going to take more time, but my advice is it's actually quicker to follow these troubleshooting charts. And this is just my opinion, so I don't want you to feel like you're being beat up or anything. It's just from my experience. You don't have to listen to me. I am not a mechanic. I honestly don't know what I'm doing half the time. So now, without further ado, I'm able to go on my first ride ever without any codes. And now let's see how much faster it is, if at all. All right, so here we were the last time I tried to drive my car and it drove terrible. So I actually got all the engine codes off. Woo! Now that is a little more peppy. It's got that terrible exhaust leak. The roof has been replaced, so that's not gonna fly off anymore. Still got a lot of chattering in the suspension, gotta look at that. The brakes are still terrifying. I haven't even looked at those yet. Let's see, exhaust leak, suspension. Oh, the transmission's making a terrible sound when I put it in drive. Don't know what that's about, but woohoo, I can feel it. It's got a little bit of horsepower now. Much better now that everything's running, and this is stock. I haven't even modified it or anything yet. Oh, I gotta fix this, that's not a big deal. Of course that doesn't work. Can't see out of this because these sun visors are completely in the way. Can't see nothing. This guy's all the way out in the middle of the road. Jiminy Christmas. It's not bad. I mean, it's not the fastest car in the world. It never was when it was brand new, but it's definitely moving and grooving now. Check this out. Woohoo! Motor works. Now you notice I'm a Cyclops. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button.